welcome back to the Tuesday weekend. We ended the last block talking about kids, and well, now we have some opinions about dogs.
Everyone's got service dogs. Like, just because you have a haltered thing that says service dog on it doesn't make your dog a service dog. It's just a dog. And I love dogs, but don't bring your dog into an actual restaurant and it's barking and running around. Yeah, it's like not a service dog.
In Park City, I knew someone who was blind and had a
Mhm.
guide dog. Then
Yeah.
there's Dave, my paraplegic friend, who had a service dog to
Yep.
absolutely help him. And
Yep.
then my friend Steve trains search and rescue dogs, and
Mhm.
they are sweet. They're just smart. They're great. And I mean, but he's not trying to bring them into a restaurant.
No, and then you
they're
get
well
people like
behaved.
they've got their dog in their lap at the bar, and you're like, your dog has to be on the floor. They're like, well, this is an emotional support dog, and I'm like, yeah, it still has to be on the floor, man.
Geez.
It's against
Yeah.
the health code. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And they get mad and they're like, well, this is a service dog, and I'm like, okay, what's its job?
What
You
service?
can't ask me that, and I'm like, there's two things I can ask you. Is it a service dog? What is your service dog's job? And your service dog's job, 90% of the time from I hear from people, is being a service dog. And I'm like, that's not one of the jobs they do.
Nope.
There's a long and actually very, and you can like put the graphics up of like service dog jobs. They do all kinds of cool stuff. It's amazing what they train these dogs to do.
Right.
But your dog isn't one. Your dog is just a dog that you feel you need to take everywhere. And you've realized there's a loophole with the service dog thing that you can bring it into any restaurant and bar, and they're going to be like, you can't say anything. I'm like, I can ask you two questions, and I can say, is it a service dog? Yes. What job is it trained for? And if you don't have an answer to that, it's like, sorry, we don't allow pets in here. We only allow service animals. And then like, well, I've got this thing that says it's a, I'm like, they don't give you a service dog license.
Nope.
When the airline said they needed something to show that your dog is a service dog, it's not a license. It's a receipt from a service dog company where you purchased your service dog.
Basically,
that's it. That's what they're looking for. There's not a service dog license. There's not a service dog little vest.
You as an individual aren't training a service dog to perform tasks. No, nope, that's not how it works.
No, the whole service dog thing is like, you put the little vest on. It's like you're dressing up like a soldier and pretending that you were in the military. Nope. We get people out here who do that once in a while. I've seen people do that before, and it's like, you can't be wearing that out to a bar, man. If you're in the military, you'd know that.
Yeah, it's like your dog is cosplaying as an actually like working dog.
All right, maybe I'm just jealous. Maybe it's because I've never had a dog I could bring into a restaurant and pass off as a service dog.
Oh,
I mean, sure. Reggie was 125 pounds. If I took him into a restaurant, he would definitely be in the kitchen for most of the meal.
Yep.
Wagging his tail, looking at the cooks.
And that's part of why there are plenty of places that accommodate dogs in their outdoor, seating area.
Well, and in San Diego, we've got the outdoor patios now at a lot of restaurants and stuff, especially downtown, which is great. And a lot of them have like the garage door. They're like open.
Yep.
We don't have a lot of walls out here because it's 70 degrees year round. And people bring dogs in all the time. And some are service dogs and some aren't. But these places, they don't care. It's like, yeah, go ahead and bring your dog in. It's cool. And if you go there, you realize, hey, these people are going to bring dogs in. It's cool. When you show up to like a restaurant, a legit, you're sitting down dining restaurant, and bring your dog. And there's like just a door entrance. There's no place for the dog to go outside. And you're asking for water for your dog. What food do you have on your menu for our dog? And it's just like, man, we don't have any of that.
They're like,
it's like, you want a burger for your dog?
Yeah.
And people get mad about that. And before it was just like, no one brought their pets to fucking dinner. No one brought their pets out to brunch. Now everybody brings their animals out. Basically because they're working 9 to 5 already and they're not spending enough time with their animals as it is. And this is, well, I want to go with my friends, but I've got a dog. It's the reason I don't have a dog out here.
And exactly. I grew up with dogs. I love dogs. I have not had a dog as an adult. I've had cats because as a chef, if I am at work for 14 hours, then all right, the cat's going to be hungry and I need to scoop the box when I get home.
Yeah.
But like Kitty's going to be okay. A dog, that's not fair. That's not right to do to a dog.
I mean, I've given this example several times. If I had a dog in my apartment, there's a dog in the apartment across the building from me. It's a German short hair and it's wagging its tail. How cute.
Oh,
if I had a dog, I would be working from say 2 o'clock to midnight, going to work, getting off work. I would come home. The dog is super excited to see me. I have just worked a very physical 8-hour job. It's 2 a.m. I need to take the dog outside because I'm in an apartment again. I don't have a yard. I don't have a little doggy door that I go outside. I can train the dog to go to the bathroom on a thing on the balcony. I get that, but that's still, then I would still want to spend time with the dog. The dog's excited to see me, take the dog out to the dog park, get some exercise, take him for a walk to inspect every single tree around every building here, as dogs do.
Absolutely.
I just wouldn't have the time. It would not be fair to the dog.
Right. And I was going to say, then what, on your day off, you then take the dog to the bar with you?
I take the dog on a sailboat with me. I mean,
yeah, right. What are you supposed to do?
That's just not fair to the dog or the animal. And I just don't get that. Now, also on a side note, we have bar cats down here too.
Oh, that's cool.
We have 2 bar cats at bar 1. One's named Kirby. He's a big fluffy white cat, and he's got his owner's got like one of the backpacks with the little plastic thing where you can see. And other times he lets him out when there's not dogs in there. And then one of the bartenders brings her cat down, which is like a dog, really. And they kind of hang out and stuff, and the dogs don't bother them and everything. I mean, that's great. It's cool that people can bring animals to places like that and stuff now, but there's a time and a place, and that time and place is like in an open air bar area where people are hanging out and relaxing and having a good time, not a fine dining restaurant. You don't bring your Weimaraner in for dinner on a Friday night at 7 o'clock.
I was going to say it. Like, I know several bookstores that have cats, and so please don't bring your dog in there.
No, the salon I got my haircut at, they have a salon dog, and he's fantastic. But no one else brings their dogs in there.
Don't bring another dog in there, because that's that dog's space.
Yeah. I mean, that animals thing, really, that's been a big change. I mean, and also you get people walking with a dog into like a loud restaurant, into a sports bar or something like that. I'm like, their hearing is, they're going nuts. There's all this huge loud noise. They don't know where it's coming from. And you see them looking around really anxious and stuff, and it's just like, be good to your pet. People just aren't. I don't get it. So, and that's been a big change back from 10 years, 20 years ago, even. I mean, even 10 years ago, the whole service dog thing, that was a big thing in California. That's where all the lawsuits started on it. And that's when everyone's like, well, my dog's a service dog. And it's like, well, what job does it do? And then when they blank stare, you're just like, yeah, your dog's not a service dog.
So slightly leaving dogs, and I know this is one change overall for the better, but was brought to my attention this morning by somebody else. Just 20 years ago, there were still smoking sections in restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
And now, sure, these days, like tobacco smoking is down, though there are plenty of people who will vape in a restaurant.
That does depend on where you're at.
Sure. And
I mean, in California, vaping is considered smoking, and so it's the same thing. If you vape in a restaurant, and they have attached it to liquor license. So if you get dinged on people vaping in your restaurant, you get your liquor license suspended for 5 days.
Yep,
I mean, other places don't mind. I've got to routinely tell people, hey, you can't. Oh, I didn't know. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I'm telling you. You're not in trouble. I'm just letting you know now. Don't do it again. I'm telling you now, it's illegal. Please don't do it again.
Working at a casino in Nevada, I am in one of the few service industry jobs left where my whole thing is a smoking section.
Yeah.
Like, there's no non-smoking area in the casino, unfortunately.
And that is one of the rarities. I mean, I worked as a bartender when I worked in restaurants, and we'll just go restaurants because you could smoke in all the bars. So like the whole bar, you could smoke in wherever. There was no smoking section. People just smoked in bars. Like, I worked in a restaurant. I had 3 tables, and there was 4 other tables in the bar top, and that was the smoking section. There's no wall in between the rest of the restaurant. Just the usual, the half wall with the plants on top and stuff, and the smoking section. That's the non-smoking section, and that was it. Moving forward, like when I moved back to Utah and I worked in, say, the Oyster Bar, since it was a bar, everybody could smoke in there. I mean, I have a collection of Zippos from my days of bartending when smoking, because I would much rather light the cigarette for a guest than have them try to do it themselves drunk and light me on fire, which pretty much happened once. So yeah, it was great. I was making a whole bunch of liquid cocaines, and this guy next to my well was like trying to light a match, and he was kind of drunk. Well, he was drunk. And then he like did the whole thing like this to do it, and shot it right over into the drinks I was making, which are topped with 151. So they just light up on the bar, and I'm like, okay, fine. And then the bar starts because of excess liquor. So I just pull them all into the ice, and then I'm like, take my shirt off because that got lit on fire, and throw that in the ice too. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And the guy's laughing, and I'm like, yeah, here's your tab for the drinks you just lit on fire, dude. Yeah. I mean, but no, smoking and stuff. When I would come home, I don't smoke. I hate cigarette smoke. I would take my clothes off and shower, and my clothes would be taken off in a separate room. Not even in, like, they wouldn't be in the laundry in my bedroom because it would just reek of smoke. Like, something a lot of people don't understand is if you don't smoke, you can really smell cigarette smoke.
You can really smell it. Absolutely.
And it doesn't smell good at all. At all.
So the one other smoking section I do want to shout out, I guess, at least point out, is this past week in Las Vegas, the state's first marijuana lounge opened. And
that's awesome.
Now, sure, they cannot have a liquor license because
no crossfading.
And a big delay in actually getting their doors open is regulations on
how much,
just the on the air circulation, and the fact that walking past the building, it can't smell like weed. So you can't just vent out, you got to vent up. There are a bunch of just restrictions that it has because, well, it's the first one in the state. And now there are a bunch of other licenses pending, but they're all kind of waiting to see what happens. But I think it's a great idea. It's a legal state. If I could go to a bar and have a drink, then I should be able to go to a lounge and have a joint.
Like people who smoke weed generally don't drive much. They don't get in fights. They don't start a lot of drama. They're usually pretty mellow about stuff.
They're overall less troublesome
than people drinking alcohol.
People intoxicated on alcohol.
Yeah, by a lot. I'm perfectly fine with that. I mean, it's legal in the state of California. I always get people like, oh, all I smell is weed. I'm like, yeah, it's legal. And they just stare at me like, you can order weed off a website right now and they will deliver it to you within an hour and you can go outside and smoke it.
But one of the reasons in particular that it was being pushed is visitors to Las Vegas can legally purchase weed, but you can't smoke it in public and you can't smoke it in your hotel. What are you supposed to do with it? You don't have a private residence to go back to.
No.
So I think this is a great,
and since a lot of Nevada's income comes from tourists.
Yes.
And I mean, I remember back in the day before they had like drugs are bad in Vegas. Everyone's like smuggling drugs in different ways to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going like, man, we're there for 3 days. You can go 3 days.
Yeah.
I don't see what the big deal is here. Just like, yeah, like, but yeah, no, I like the smoking lounge like that. I mean, I like cigar lounges. I really do. I like going out having a nice cigar and a nice glass of scotch once in a while. It's fun. Yeah. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if I was in charge of the weed lounge, I would play Kurosawa films on silent with some 90s, like early Tribe Called Quest, that kind of, like Low End Theory, that era, just on a loop because that's the Gen X stoner that wants to watch that. I'm not sure what
we're fine with that. You can come and open that here and you'll make a fortune, especially if it adds your food, because the snacks you have,
the snack bar
would be something,
because you're going to buy that donut. You're going to buy it.
It's not a menu. It's just a snack bar, like in a movie theater where there's all these different, you can have this. They see it. They're just going to buy it. It's like, how much? It's like, it's $8. And they're like, yeah, fine. Great.
Done.
It's $12, whatever.
House-made pretzels. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And on that, we're going to take another quick break here and we will get to more changes in the restaurant world in the last couple of decades.
Yeah, can you play like David Bowie changes on this, or do we get like fined for that?
Yeah, right. I think I can play up to 4 seconds of it, so yeah.
Changes done.